All right, let's talk Chicago Bears. This is a Bears franchise that's made a lot of really smart moves, a lot of really big moves this offseason in terms of adding players, adding coaches. But now that we've seen most of the team come together, of course, we know the draft is upcoming and there's still some free agency dominoes still to fall. We know the structure of the Bears. And to that end, this new Bears coaching staff is already making a really smart move for the most important position on the field. That's the quarterback position. We'll get into that in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That's Andrew and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, when you bring in new head man Ben Johnson to lead this offense, the biggest reason, of course, is to get Caleb Williams on the right track, and that's exactly what Johnson is doing for the Bears. Let's pull up this latest report, and then we'll dive into some really interesting analytics on the other side. This article is from NBC Sports. Johnson said on Tuesday they will, quote, go back to the basics, unquote, with the first steps of that work, which includes looking at Williams' footwork while taking snaps under center and in shotgun. The Bears operated out of the shotgun more than 70% of the time in 2024, while Johnson's Lions offense worked under center more often than any other club. There are some things that we're going to encourage that he looks to do a little bit differently, Johnson said via the team's website. He's been predominantly a shotgun quarterback for most of his high school and college career, and he's very comfortable there. We're going to work to see the comfort level under center and how much of that applies. We had a lot of success where I was last, that going under center for the run game did translate in play action. That is so critical here, that last sentence. When you go under center in today's NFL, you're doing one of two things. You're running the football or you're play actioning off that run, that old school West Coast 1980s 49ers straight drop back passing under center. That's gone. The Bears did almost none of that last season, and it was a big reason for their offensive struggles. Let's go ahead and pull up this chart here. It's a really interesting graphic. There's a lot of information on here. This is according to on Twitter at fball at fball insights, excuse me. And you can see this is just looking how different quarterbacks graded out play actions versus no play action. But I want to focus strictly on the play action there. You can see Caleb Williams was one of the worst play action quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. He was actually ranked behind Will Levis and just ahead of guys like Daniel Jones in terms of his play action efficiency. And you looked all the way on the far right, you had Jared Goff, who led the NFL in terms of play action efficiency. To me, that's about footwork, that's about timing, that's about the structure of the offense. The Lions under Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, a lot of under center, of course, that allowed him to run the ball and play action off of that. The Bears did almost none of that, and that's why Caleb Williams' numbers really stunk. Williams is a better athlete. He's got more arm talent than Goff. There's no reason he wouldn't do well in play action. But when you look at teams that do really well in terms of executing on play action, it translates very clearly into the most important thing, and that's wins. It's really just a really incredible stat. Let's go ahead and pull up our third chart here. Again, big chart channel, love Microsoft Excel and all that good stuff. You can see here, if you look at the top 25% of play action QBs, looking at that graphic that we saw in the previous picture, you can look at their wins, their average wins are in blue, their median wins of all those guys are in red, and their maximum wins, that was Jared Goff's in 15. A lot of winning there, winning football, more than 8 wins, 9, 10 wins, getting to the playoffs. If you look at the bottom 25% of play action QBs, it's a lot of bad. It's averaging 3 wins, the median of 3 wins. The most wins any quarterback in that group got was 5, which, by the way, Bears fans, should sound familiar. That's Caleb Williams. This is what Ben Johnson is supposed to unlock. And this is why it's so important and such a great sign that he's attacking it so early in the offseason. Play action success, and I know it's not this simple, but it's true. Play action success is statistically correlated with winning. The Bears were terrible at play action last year. They're going to be a lot better at it this year. And it starts with getting the footwork right and getting the comfort level right with Caleb Williams under center so they can execute on that play action. This is a great job by Ben Johnson and the Bears getting a head start on this. I think it's their most important strategic change on both sides of the football. All right, Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. A lot of information we just threw at everybody. But first, Bears fans in the comment section below. Now that we're through the meat of free agency, a few dominoes still to drop, but the reality is we're all really focused on the draft right now. What's one position you think the Bears should focus on in this draft more than any other, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean the Bears go first round at this position, but it's got to be a position of focus. Give us that group of guys in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this move the Bears are doing here, Ben Johnson's plan for Caleb Williams?
Yeah, Nick, I think when you want to look at what you could change to make Caleb Williams better, I think getting him used to the system is always going to be a good thing, but also giving him just more reps in play action. There, I don't even think when I give you these numbers here, I don't think there was a big enough sample size to even see if it was something that he was good enough last season or not. So you look at these play or these snaps for the Bears as by designed by concept that they ran. Let's say screenplays, they ran 461 screenplays. They ran 101 plays without screens. They ran 467 plays without play action. They ran 95 plays with play action. Not a whole lot of plays with play action there. And you look at the numbers as well, he's about the same skill wise in all of these things. Play action's his lowest, but the grades on these, grade by concept 67 for no play action, 68 for no screen, a 60.9 for screenplays, and a 65.6 for play action plays. So he's not bad at play action plays comparatively to the rest of his grades. It's about the same. They're 1 or 2 points difference here. So I think that is a key here for Caleb Williams. Is this is a guy who he hasn't been in a lot of play action. We haven't seen what the play action brings to the table when it comes to this team. I think introducing a lot more play action is going to make him much, much better at it. If you play shotgun all the time and then you go switch to under center to do play action, it's not going to be as natural. You're going to need the reps, and going into a system with all of this play action, I think this is a really good idea for Ben Johnson and for the Bears to say, hey, let's go ahead and get this guy used to it. We're gonna rep this all the time. He's got plenty of shotgun reps. We don't have to worry about that. We really have to get this guy used to going under center to work on some play action stuff. And I think it's gonna have a better byproduct on this team. Something else we know they need. The Bears 25th in the NFL last year as far as rushing grade per PFF. That's something they can improve, and that's something that I think Ben Johnson's scheme will help improve. His play action passing game opens up run. All of the Bears are going to by default automatically get better at the run as well. I think all of these things, like you said, it correlates to more wins. I think this is a good thing for the Bears. Caleb Williams, he's an athlete. He can do this. He can get under center. It's not like he's some mega giant 6'10" super stiff guy that can barely get under center. And this guy, he's going to be just fine doing this. I think it's going to be good overall for the Bears. But the fact that they really haven't run much play action and their rushing grade was so bad last year, I think that's a key here. I think that there's some correlation showing that you need the play action to open up the running game. Part of the reason the Bears running game wasn't opened up because of the lack of play action. A la Ben Johnson comes in and says, what's the easiest thing I can do that the Bears didn't do last year that will help one of their biggest weaknesses? Let me add in some play action. It will open up the running game immediately. That's already a major win, a major step forward for this offense. So I think in the short term, you look at this, it looks like just a simple move. So Ben Johnson came in and said, where are we weak? How do we get stronger there? What are we not doing that would help us get stronger there? Boom. Enter in play action game. I think this is really smart, easy thinking already by Ben Johnson.
Yeah, and you talk about correlation. One of the things I'm always trying to look for is what takes in terms of the statistically a bad team to a good team. That's something that's really important to identify. And what's interesting is that play action efficiency at the quarterback position is one of those weird numbers, and it's very oversimplified. I get it, right? There's a lot that goes into it, but it's undeniable. The more efficient you get as a team on average, and the play action game, the more wins you have. The less efficient, the less wins you have, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into it. I get it, right? If your defense stinks, you can't do a lot of play action because you're down by 20 points every game. I understand there's a lot of factors, but I really think there is something to it where if you have a quarterback that can operate under center in that play action offense, it opens up a lot of other things for you offensively. That, of course, is what Sean McVay with the Rams, Shanahan with the 49ers, Johnson with the Detroit Lions, now, of course, with the Bears. That's what they made a living on for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years. And last year, I think the Chicago Bears, with their offensive strategy, I think they took a step back in time and took a really bad approach. So when Caleb Williams was coming out of school, the comp everyone was saying is, oh, he's the next Patrick Mahomes. He's got that arm talent. He's very mobile, stylistically, the scrambling, the playmaking ability. He's the next Patrick Mahomes. But people forget when Mahomes came to the league in 2017 and when he first started starting his first season in 2018, it was a completely different NFL. There was no revolution of the McVay Shanahan. It was just starting. At that time, the offense that was all the rage was the Brady Packers spread, that Brady Patriots spread, that Aaron Rodgers Packers spread, where they lived in shotgun all the time with 3-4 wide receivers, slot shifty wide receivers, get the ball out quickly, distribute the football, spread offenses, right? That's what Patrick Mahomes came into as the NFL. And then with his arm talent, completely flipped it on its head. The NFL has changed though now. Now the way to execute is to live under center and play action. And I think that's what happened with the Bears is they kind of thought, oh, we have the next Patrick Mahomes. We'll have him play like Mahomes in 2017, 18, 19. In reality, that just wasn't the right approach, right? Because the NFL defenses, offensive coaches, everyone had just completely changed how the refs call the game, completely changed. They were behind the times by essentially a decade, and it showed by their product on the field. I think Ben Johnson, the simple things, the little things like you brought up, hey, let's go under center, right? Let's figure out the footwork under center so we can get good at running inside zone and outside zone from under center with motions, with timings, with shifts, all that. They will factor in play action, and suddenly this game will become a lot easier. Jared Goff is a good quarterback. We know he is, right? He's had a really good career. But if you look at his numbers, he has never been a lead. He has never been a guy who's the best in football, top two in football, never even remotely close. Always been a good guy carried by a quality roster and a quality coach every element of his career. His numbers jumped off the page because one, the Lions had a lot of talent, but two, because Ben Johnson made it really easy for him to operate because of him operating under center with the play action game, with the run game paired with it. That's what he's bringing to Caleb Williams, making the game easier. But it starts with putting in the time in the offseason, getting the footwork down, getting the timing down. It's going to be a process. Caleb Williams spent most of his career, like the report highlighted, in shotgun, and the Bears did him no favor last year by just letting him ride in shotgun the entire season and letting him get killed behind that offensive line and that poor play calling. It's going to take a few months to get the habits out, and it may be some slow starts to the beginning of the regular season. But I tell you what, Bears fans, you should be really excited because this is why you brought in Ben Johnson. I don't care about the trick plays. That's cool. It makes ESPN's highlights. That's awesome. I don't care. I want an offense that's efficient, that can operate, running the football and play action. That's why you brought in Johnson, and that's exactly what he's going to give you with moves like these.